Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
This past week was a special week for Major League Baseball and for myself, as I am here to congratulate the 3 newest members voted in by the National Baseball Writers Association who were inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame this past week and will be inducted into Cooperstown this coming July for the class of 2025. This, of course, is a very special one for me for sure, as, of course, my hero, my all-time favorite player, probably the player that made me want to watch baseball through a video game, of course, has been inducted into the Hall of Fame as he deserves, along with, of course, the other 2 as well, and the 2 who were by the Classic Baseball Committee, formerly the Veterans Committee, who were inducted recently, Dave Parker and Dick Allen. These 3 will be joining them as well in July. Hello guys, this is the Club of the Man 1993. We're going to be here for a bit talking about these 3 new Hall of Famers. Now normally I go in order from like the lowest percentage to highest. But I'm going to go in a wee bit of a different order, because the number 3, the person who had like the 3rd highest percentage that got voted in, I'm very happy for him. I mean, I'm happy for all 3 of these guys. Like, I have nothing against any of these guys, but especially that number 3 person got in on the 10th and final year on the ballot, which is a shame, because I do feel like some closing pitchers don't quite get the recognition they deserve on these ballots. Especially some people like Francisco Rodriguez, who can't get out of the 10% margin so far, which is kind of ridiculous. Although Billy Wagner was in the 10% margin his first couple years on the ballot, and he eventually made his way up, and he got in on his 10th year on the ballot. Should have been sooner, in my opinion, but, you know, it happened for him, and I couldn't be happier for him. But let's, of course, talk about all 3 of these. First off, before we get to them, people who came up short, we'll talk about that. So the ones who came up short, the closest was Carlos Beltran, who had 277 of the 394 votes. That's a 70.3 percentage. And it was his 3rd year on the ballot. Next year's Hall of Fame class, well, the new ones coming in for 2026, they're kind of weak, if I'm being honest. So I do think, unless if nobody gets in next year, I do think Carlos Beltran has a huge shot in getting in next year, along with the guy below him who was his 8th year on the ballot, Andrew Jones. 66.2% of the vote. I think he will get in either next year or on his last year on the ballot. 434 career home runs, 10 gold gloves in center field. That's outstanding. So I think those 2 have a good shot at getting in next year. Someone else who made a nice climb, because then after that, the next closest at all was 2nd year runner Chase Utley, former second baseman for the Phillies, of course. He had 39.8%. I think he had like 28% last year. So, like I said, next year's class, the new ones coming in, I don't really see anybody getting in. So I think he's going to have a good chance to climb. But then we got guys like Alex Rodriguez, Andy Pettitte, and Manny Ramirez, who are all stuck in like that mid 30% range. Like that's where or like high 20s. That's kind of like where they've been stuck for most of their runs. I don't really see them budging any further, if I'll be honest. A-Rod, of course, because of his steroid use. Same with Manny Ramirez as well. And Manny actually next year will be the only player who who will be on their 10th year on the ballot, but I don't think Manny's getting in. I really doubt it. Andy Pettitte also, because of some controversies he's had, I don't think he's going to get in either. Although some people think with CC Sabathia out of the way and nobody else really coming in next year, he may climb his last couple years. I still see him coming up short, if I'm being honest. Felix Hernandez, though, on his first year on the ballot, got 20% of the vote, so that's not too bad of a start. He could, I don't know if King Felix will get it. I mean, he is unique. I think he could come close, but I'm not 100% positive he'll get there someday. Bobby Abreu on his 6th year on the ballot, hanging around in the 20%. Same with Jimmy Rollins, hanging out on his 4th year on the ballot in like the 20%. I'm not sure if they'll ever make the climb. Omar Vizquel on his 8th year, of course, has dropped massively. He was at 55% at one point earlier on, but then some allegations he had came out, and it just dropped him ever since. Dustin Pedroia, his first year on the ballot, 11.9%. Dustin Pedroia could have definitely been a Hall of Famer, but the last part of his career was hampered by injuries. Like him and David Wright, who on his 2nd year had about 8.1% of the vote. If both of them were healthier, they would have been Sherlock Hall of Famers. Unfortunately, though, I think they're going to come up short. Mark Burley, on his 5th year on the ballot, had 11.4%. His couple no-hitters are kind of just like having him hang in there, but I don't see him getting in. Again, K-Rod in his 3rd year on the ballot, Francisco Rodriguez, 10.2%. That's ridiculous. Francisco Rodriguez, I think, should be in the Hall of Fame. Especially also since he does have the single-season save mark with 62 saves on his resume as well. He should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't get why he's getting the low rank of the votes. But of course, now with Billy Wagner getting in, that could help his case. And again, David Wright had 8.1% in his 2nd year. Torrey Hunter just hung on again with his 5th year on the ballot with 20 votes, 5.1%. Although, I don't know if he'll really get much anywhere. Although, again, if Andrew Jones does get in, could open the door for Torrey. We'll have to wait and see. But the players who didn't receive the 5% to remain on the ballot all were in their first years. Ian Kinsler was the highest on that with 2.5%. Russell Martin had 2.3%. Brian McCann with 1.8%. Troy Tulowitzki, 1%. Troy Tulowitzki could have easily been a Hall of Famer had he not gotten injured so freaking much. Injuries is something, again, has just bit some of these people's careers. And I think Troy Tulowitzki, between his bat and how great his defense was at shortstop, if he was healthy, he would have been in the Hall of Fame very easily. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. Curtis Granderson only had 3 votes as well. Adam Jones had 3 votes. Carlos Gonzalez with 2. And then Hanley Ramirez, Fernando Rodney, and Ben Zobrist didn't get any votes, unfortunately. So all of them will not be on the ballot again in 2026. And like I said, there's a lot of first ballot participants next year, but I really don't see any of them being much of a threat, if I'm being real. Definitely no first ballot Hall of Famers. Oh, that could surprise me. We'll get to that list before we go later today. But the 3 that I want to that of course did get inducted. Let's start with the number 2 one first, because that's one again, don't get me wrong, special player, but I definitely have a little more to say about Billy Wagner and of course the other one. But the second most votes at 86.8%, 342 votes, is CC Sabathia. I didn't realize how high CC Sabathia really does rank among left-handed starting pitchers. He is actually, I think, has the 3rd most strikeouts of all time by a left-handed pitcher with like 3,093. I think he's only behind, of course, Steve Carlton and Randy Johnson. Sabathia had played like a 19-year career. The first part of it was with the Indians, where, you know, he definitely was great, but he definitely was hit his stride. Like, his peak years were between 2006 and 2012. He was the 2007 American League Cy Young Award winner. I believe he was a league leader in complete games several times as well throughout his career, and was also in the top 5 for Cy Young voting many times after that as well. Definitely an all-star for sure. I still think, even though, of course, he had a great career with the Yankees, which I think that's who he is going to be getting inducted into the Hall of Fame as a member of the Yankees, I still think the one thing he needs to be recognized for is the work he did in 2008 with the Brewers. Because he was traded in a trade deadline acquisition. This is when the Brewers were just breaking out of their losing funk, and they were competing. I think this is also the same year too that they were so desperate to get that wild card spot, they fired Ned Yost 3 weeks before the end of the season and hired Dale Swain to get themselves into the playoffs. And they just got in because they were falling apart. They were for sure falling apart during that last month or two of the season. But CC Sabathia came in a trade deadline acquisition. He became the only player in Major League history in the same season to lead both leagues in complete games. I think he had 5 overall, 2 of them with the Indians, 3 with the Brewers or whatnot. But the Brewers relied on him that much. He was pitching on 3 days rest. I think he made 17 starts with the Brewers in his last couple months of the season, which is crazy. And he put on one of the best showings I've definitely seen from a starting pitcher. Like that, or even the year and a half when Jake Arrieta was the best pitcher in baseball for sure. CC Sabathia, I feel although, he had great seasons with the Indians, great seasons with the Yankees for sure, getting to 251 wins. I think he even mentioned something also in an interview where he thought he was done back in 2017, but basically he got pushed to keep going, and he was able to finish with the 3,000 strikeouts and the 251 wins, which I think those definitely sealed his deal and get into the Hall of Fame. I still think, though, if you really want to see CC at his best, that run he had with the Brewers in 2008, I think really showed how great of a pitcher he really was. So he, though, got in, though, he was the number two inductee. But like I said, I definitely wanted to kind of give him the first thing to talk about, because the other two, the second one who got number three with 277 votes with 325 votes was Billy Wagner. Again, on his 10th year on the ballot, getting 82.5% of the vote to get into the Hall of Fame. I think last year he was 5 votes short of getting in. He came very close, but just missed. He got in on his 10th year on the ballot. Like I said before, I feel like there's some closing pitchers who just don't get the recognition they deserve to get into the Hall of Fame. Like Francisco Rodriguez for sure. Billy Wagner should not have taken Billy Wagner 10 years to get into the Hall of Fame. Definitely not. Yes, I know he only pitched under 1,000 games, but this is a guy, first off, I didn't notice until I listened to the interview today. This is a guy who was originally a right-handed thrower, broke his arm, and learned how to throw left-handed to be a Hall of Famer, to be as good of a closer as he was. He was given this role for almost his entire career. And yes, he pitched less than 1,000 games, but still, he was one of the best in that role. 231 career ERA, a 186 batting average. That's a special player right there. And I know they don't pitch as many games as a position player does. But still, I think closers especially deserve that recognition. I'm glad Mariano Rivera got it when he got inducted a few years ago. When he of course is still the only unanimous Hall of Fame voter to get in, when he got all the votes as he should have. There's a few others, and we'll get to one in a second, that should have gotten it. But yeah, closing pitchers I feel deserve to be recognized better than they have been. And Billy Wagner, I definitely kept saying for years, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer. But it took them 10 years for him to finally get voted in. And the emotion he had from the video, because we saw the recorded video calls of CC Sabathia and Billy Wagner getting the call, not the guy we're about to talk about in a second. But you saw the emotion on Billy Wagner's face, and I don't blame him. Again, from just what he's told me, what he said in his interview, all he's been through. He was originally actually a starter, then got brought up as a reliever, and was one of the best left-handed relievers of all time. Most of his career was with the Astros. I think he was with the Phillies, Mets, and Braves, I believe, were the teams he played for. But of course, the Astros was probably who he spent the bulk of his career with, and he probably will be inducted as a member of the Astros. But yes, congratulations to CC Sabathia and Billy Wagner. And finally, we get to the biggest name, of course. a man who I view as a hero, and who forever will be my first ever favorite baseball player, and my favorite baseball player of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, the first Japanese-born baseball player to be inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame is Ichiro Suzuki. Again, for those who know me well, everybody knows that when I first became a baseball fan in 2004, my favorite player was Ichiro. And it happened because I got Backyard Baseball 2003 for Christmas from my aunt. And I don't know why. I just thought Ichiro was very cool. I always picked him for my team. I just thought he was unique. And, although, I also like baseball because I like to hit things far, Ichiro was just a very special player. We all know him as, of course, he came over from Japan at age 27. He was, in 2001, with the Mariners' 116-win season, he was not only the American League Rookie of the Year, but MVP. Didn't he get like 242 or 252 hits that year or something like that? And a fun fact also, Ichiro was only seen 25 pitches with his career batting average under 300. When he got his third big league hit, and he was 3 for 10 in his major league career, his career batting average never dropped under 300 after that. I believe he finished with a career 311 average. He had 200 hits in his first 10 seasons out of his, 17, 18? I can't remember how many was he played in the big league. I think it was 19, 18? I can't remember what it was. I think 18, yeah, because he retired in 2019. He had 10 straight years to start his career with 200 hits. I believe he was a 10-time All-Star, won many Gold Gloves. We all know he was an excellent fielder, 500 career stolen bases, 3,089 career American hits. Combined professionally, Ichiro has broken Pete Rose's record for the most hits. So technically, if you combine both Japan and America, Ichiro's the all-time hit leader. Not in Major League Baseball, but for professional baseball in general. And people have said this in the videos too. If he really wanted to, Ichiro could have hit more for power. Heck, they show him taking batting practice, and Ichiro is not one of the biggest guys out there either, but he's bombing long balls out of there. Even at 52 he is now? 51. He's 51. Number 51 is 51 currently. He'll be 52 in October. You see him sometimes fielding, taking batting practice. Seriously, if the guy still wanted to play, he could still play. He's just that, much of a fan. We all know that he was taught he's actually right-handed, but he was taught to bat left-handed by his father to, have a better chance of beating out an infield hit. And again, I said before, despite the fact he could have easily been a power hitter, Ichiro just had the mechanics of just easily getting on base. In the videos they were playing him after he got inducted, they were showing how he would hit these 11 dribbler ground balls that would cause him to get base hits. He just knew where to hit the ball. He got on base. He got the job done. He did what he needed to do to contribute to the team, and that is get on base. Snuck some power in there here and there. Jokester, of course, apparently he calling people by their middle names or, whatever it was. He was surprised with Ken Griffey Jr. Congratulating him, and he goes, "Thank you, George," because, Ken Griffey Jr.'s actual name is actually George Kenneth Griffey Jr., but of course we all know what he went by. But yeah, he spent 14 of his 18 seasons with the Mariners, a couple years with the Yankees, and a couple years with the Marlins. And again, he got the 3,089 career hits in America. He was able to finish his career actually in a series with, I think it was the Mariners taking on the Athletics in Japan. Unfortunately, the only bummer from that series was Ichiro did not get a hit. But he was able to officially retire and play his final game of baseball in his home country, which is absolutely splendid. You know what's not splendid, though? Ichiro got 393 of the 394 votes. 99.7%. Who the heck did not vote for Ichiro? Him and Derek Jeter, I think, are the only two players to come one vote short of being unanimously voted in. And both of them, I think, should have been unanimously voted in. Mariano Rivera, yes. And the other person I would say probably should have gotten it too was Ken Griffey Jr. And I think that was Tom Seaver, Chipper Jones came close. I would have been okay if it was one of them, but Ichiro for sure, for what he accomplished. Oh, how did I forget? Also, I forgot to mention, besides the fact that he's a multiple-time batting champion as well, he did in 2004 break a record that probably people thought that never would be broken when he broke George Sisler's 84-year-old record of hits in a single season of 262. That, of course, is also a record that may never be broken again, but you never know. But yeah, all that between both Japan and America, all of the things he's accomplished. One person couldn't vote him and make him the second unanimous Hall of Famer. That kind of pissed me off. I'm not going to lie. But, he got in as he deserved to. He was for sure a first ballot Hall of Famer. And, of course, he will go and inducted as a member of the Seattle Mariners. Now, I also got to say, too, off the side note, again, we have Ichiro's sense of humor. He was asked about how, I think he was interviewed years ago, and he was asked what is his favorite American thing he learned, and then it was some phrase involving the F word that Ryan Franklin taught him, and I guess he says ever since, I will not swear again on camera like that again. I never will. There was that, and also I saw, so apparently a hero of Ichiro's growing up was Michael Jordan. And they were shown in 1995 when he was 22 years old. He was given the opportunity to meet Michael Jordan. What was Ichiro wearing whenever he met Michael Jordan? A Tom and Jerry shirt. And Tom and Jerry, I love Nickelodeon. I love most other cartoon channels. Cartoon Network was my channel growing up. And Tom and Jerry were my boys. So yes, Ichiro and I are both fans of Tom and Jerry. We both have our birthdays on the 22nd of a month. Mine's September 22nd. His is October 22nd. We're almost exactly 20 years apart in age. But yeah. From being one of my favorite players to play as on a video game, to being a Hall of Famer, and probably one of the best hitters of all time, for sure, Ichiro Suzuki gets into the Hall of Fame. Along with CC Sabathia and Billy Wagner. And, of course, from the classic baseball era committee, wherever the heck that they're called, Dave Parker and Dick Allen, 5 people will be inducted in the class of 2025 in July. Not going to lie, especially with Ichiro getting in, it would be cool to go. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it work, unfortunately. I would have loved to go to this Hall of Fame ceremony to see Ichiro get inducted. Maybe I could, but I'm not going to count on it. But it would be really cool. This probably would be the one time I would go watch that ceremony, just because my hero is getting inducted. Let me find also before we go the list for next year's first time ballot candidates. Where is that list at? Because I looked at that list and I'm just like, there's absolutely nobody. I can't find it now. Where is it? Hang on. MLB class of 2026. Where is that ballot? Where is that? I should have had it pulled up and ready. Here it is. Listen to these names. Ryan Braun. We all know that's one guy I did not like whatsoever. He definitely is not getting in. I can maybe see him being like how Sammy Sosa was. 10, 20% of the votes. He's not getting in. He may not even get past the first round. Same with Shin-Soo Choo, Edwin Encarnacion. 400 some home runs, yes, but I see him kind of being like another Paul Konerko or a Mark Teixeira, where, like, that's all he had to him, unfortunately. Gio Gonzalez, don't see it. Alex Gordon, his defense maybe, but I don't think so. Cole Hamels, maybe, but not first ballot. I think he could at least make a run for it. Matt Kemp, I don't think so. Howie Kendrick, not seeing it. Nick Markakis, nah, I don't see it for Nick Markakis. Daniel Murphy, he has some postseason heroics, but I don't think he's going to get in there. Hunter Pence, I think with his personality and his sportsmanship and his leadership, he could maybe have a shot, but definitely not first ballot for him either. Rick Porcello, kind of overrated. And then Neil Walker. We all know I love Neil Walker. Pittsburgh boy myself. Saw him, of course, at an Ichibon a couple years ago, but of course I didn't introduce myself to him. But yeah, I'm sorry, Neil Walker's not getting into the Hall of Fame either. So, like I said earlier, with Beltran and Andrew Jones probably coming the closest, who seem in good contention, they could get in next year. I think Beltran is pretty likely. Jones could just miss, but I think he has a good shot next year. And then we do have the next person after that was Chase Utley. I don't think Utley will get in next year, but I think he will have a huge increase. But that's next year. We'll just have to wait and see. But that's going to do it, guys. That is my thoughts on the MLB 2025 Class of 2025 Hall of Fame. Again, congratulations from the Classic Baseball Era Committee with Dave Parker and Dick Allen and the National Baseball Writers Association voting in Billy Wagner on his 10th year on the ballot, and first ballot Hall of Famers CC Sabathia, and my hero, my favorite baseball player of all time, Ichiro Suzuki. Congratulations to everyone. Well deserved. Again, who knows? Maybe I will somehow pull off getting to Cooperstown in July. But if not, I'm not planning on. I'm not really counting on it. But if I somehow was able to make it work, it would be cool. But I don't think I'm going to be able to make it work. But leave guys thoughts about these guys down in the comments section below. Who do you think will be inducted next year? Again, I think Beltran will get in next year, and maybe Andrew Jones. Chase Utley will make a climb, but he won't get in next year. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below and slap a like on the video. Subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at the Club of the Man 93. You may also follow me on TikTok. I'm sorry, taking a break from TikTok. You may also follow me on Instagram as well at the Club of Man 93. If you want to follow me on TikTok right now, find the Club of Man 93. But again, I am taking a break from TikTok currently, especially with what's going on with it right now and just how much more sensitive their guidelines is or whatnot. I'm taking a break from TikTok. But the account's still alive if you want to follow me there. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys all later. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!